I'd like to take you through a use case dealing with purchase orders, where the system proposes a supplier for a purchase order that's in the process of being created. From here, we click on the New button to create a new scenario for this use case. We start with entering a name and description. We then select the data source, which is the purchase order item details data source. Then we select the target field, which is the supplier that we want to predict. And finally, we assign this scenario to the purchase orders work center view. Now in this data source, you can see that we recommend that you trim down the number of attributes that would be used to train the particular model. In our help documentation, we have provided best practices on what kind of attributes you would choose and what attributes could be avoided. We'll use these guidelines now to filter out these attributes which are there in the data source. Now let's add the filter conditions so that we isolate the data that we want to train this particular model. The first attribute is the item status, because we only want purchase order items which have finished their life cycle to be used for training. Similarly, we add the item type, which are either a material, expense or service to be part of training. And finally, we look at the delivery status, as we only want those items which are fully delivered to be used for the supplier prediction. We then go to the data pre-processing tab. We leave most of the defaults in. We only add the delivery date from, as we believe that the delivery date quarter or its month or maybe the day in the week could have an impact on the supplier that is chosen. And lastly, we are in the trainings tab. Here we choose the algorithm to be the hybrid gradient boosting tree. It gives better accuracy. And we change the partition method from random to stratified because our data set is not balanced. We know that there are certain suppliers who have a larger number of purchase orders to which they have been assigned. We save and then release this scenario. To create a model, you navigate to the Models Work Center view of the machine learning cockpit. The first step is loading the data. The filtering step automatically removes those attributes which have either a high percentage of null values, a high number of distinct values, or a high cardinality. Going further, we don't add any more filter conditions to the select data, and we simply click the apply filters button. At this point in the null removal step, we leave all the defaults in and do not remove any more attributes. Now this step is very important given the type of algorithm we have selected. On selecting the activation of outliers removal, you would see that we lose about 185 records from this dataset, which is quite high, and we need to evaluate the outliers for each attributes to see what we can do. And now you can see the result. The total number of records we would lose of this step is 26, which is not very bad. Here, the only change we do is in the data split between the training set and the test data set. We change the data split to a 70-30 ratio because our data set is not very balanced with respect to each supplier, and this might give us more accurate results. Now, for this training model, you can see that the accuracy is quite impressive at more than 98%. If we are happy with the training results, we click on the Activate button. To create a prediction run for this newly trained model, we navigate to the Prediction Run work center of the machine learning cockpit. For the prediction outcome, we enter the attribute that will store the preferred supplier. For the prediction probability, we enter the attribute that stores this confidence score. These extension fields would have to be created on the purchase order item node via the key user adaptation mode. Then we go to the filter conditions. We would like the prediction run to be executed only on those purchase order item instances which are in the status in preparation, as well as those whose item type is of material, service, or expense. Now, once our prediction run has completed execution, we can look at the results of the prediction run by looking at the purchase order item data. We have the two attributes, the proposed supplier and its probability. Thank you for staying with me so far.